with On Air. We are back with On Air with Tony Sweet, only on Universal Broadcasting Network.
That's what happens when you're in charge of the buttons. Hi, this is Tony Sweet, On Air with Tony Sweet. I'm here with the beautiful Jennifer Jimenez.
Hello again.
How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm good.
Joel, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Well, okay, so our next guest, I have to say I am honored because the last time I saw him, I was in Nashville on a show that he was executive producer. Is that right?
I created the show.
Created, gosh.
And executive produced.
And I have to say, if it wasn't for this show, I wouldn't be here today. I really would not.
That's so surprising to me.
Yeah,
Really?
when I was, well, I'm just going to introduce you. Elvin Ross is in the house.
Yay!
So people like, just shut up and let it. So Elvin, I'm gonna give him his moment here because I have to say, when I auditioned for the Gospel Dream here in Los Angeles, it was because my nephew Kyle, he had tried out for American Idol. Mm-hmm. And didn't make it. So he said, but it just gave him that fire under his booty. And so he wanted to move to California. So he moved in with his uncle. And so he was, I think, 21 at the time. And I wanted him to just get out and sing more. You know, I wanted him to experience LA and so I found out Gospel Dream was going to be auditioning. So I thought, Kyle, why don't you go audition? He goes, I'll do it if you do it. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't. But I've always wanted to sing, and I loved singing, and I love gospel Christian music. And so we went, and we auditioned, and I made it, and then he ended up getting an alternate because I think somebody had to pull out. Then he got scared and pulled out. So I went. And I have to say, it changed my life because I love the people. Everybody that went and participated and the people behind the scenes, the hosts were amazing. It was like one huge family. We had so much fun. It was a lot of work in a week's time. But if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't be doing this because I was a personal trainer, nothing wrong with that, but it was, that was something I liked to do, and I didn't want to do corporate anymore, and I just wanted to be a singer, and so I was taking voice lessons. I don't know what I would have done. Wow. I really don't.
Who you would have become.
Wow. And it was because of the Gospel Dream that actually started, because I started a show almost 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago in November. It was a little, it was right after, and I started the show, and it started getting more popular, and then I started having bigger name entertainment, and it just kind of morphed into what it is today. And then I started my own station. Wow! And so,
and it's pretty fancy too.
And it's all because of Elvin Ross here.
You're a life changer.
Well, no, I'm not a life changer, but it's good to be able to deposit in other folks. So I'm very proud of you, man.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, that means a lot coming from you, because to see where you have come too. So I want to go back. You're a composer, filmmaker, all this stuff. How did you? Where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from a small town outside of New Orleans called Hahnville, Louisiana.
Hahnville?
Hahnville. Yes.
Got to say that.
Yes.
Hahnville.
Born and raised there, and of course, lived in New Orleans for some time, and that's where my roots are.
Wow.
Yeah.
But how did this young man start this empire that you created?
That's not very much to do in Hahnville. So
you find things to.
Man, you run around in the yard and you play with your friends, that kind of stuff.
You're like, man, that was one day bored.
But then you have these big city dreams, and that aspire to do great things. And I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to execute some of those things. So,
what was the first? Because my opportunity really came for you. So when did your opportunity happen?
My opportunity, I started playing piano early in the church with my mother, and as I played, and I just started hearing other musicians. So I had some type of something that I was reaching for. I was trying to get to these different levels in musicianship,
Right.
And then it just kept climbing, man. So my first opportunity, I think, came from just being able to play with other choirs and then church and stuff like that. It became a passion for me to become an excellent church musician first,
which is I think is important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really sets the bar.
Of course.
Foundation.
And then I wanted to be like, I wanted to do plays all of a sudden,
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I saw a stage play some early years, and I was like, I want to do that. You want to create music for that? And then I met Tyler Perry, who's actually from New Orleans as well. But our paths really crossed in Atlanta in 1996.
So a while ago.
Yeah, and he was starting out and living in cars, and I was starting out, and we crossed paths, and then we just hit it off from there. But that was basically, I would like to say, destiny. Because it wasn't necessarily like an opportunity given. It was more like, I need you, you need me. Let's see if we could do something together. And who knew that he was going to become, this global giant as he's become. So
I think that's a great example for a lot of people that, especially in LA, because everybody has their blinders up and they walk by and they don't really pay attention to so many opportunities of people that they could become creative geniuses together.
You're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people think that, okay, here's Steven Spielberg. I need to work with him to become great. Well, actually, before Steven became Steven, he was
somebody.
Little Steven.
Yeah.
And then those that grew with him, fared out well. But, you got to start at the bottom sometimes and just see the greatness in other people. And, their destiny can be really linked to that versus, the big guy. His thing's already set. You're going to work for him. But to grow with someone is something completely different.
I think I would rather grow.
Yeah. It's such a wonderful thing to see, how God works, honestly. How he can take something so small and turn it into such a great empire to where the seeds of it and the fruit that come from this one little seed start launching radio stations.
No, exactly. I mean,
and put so many people to work. It's just amazing to watch.
Well, I mean, I think God, how for you, it's so amazing. And I think that's what I meant, too, is that God used you, brought you guys together and it blossomed him,
Yeah, and it's pretty rewarding just to watch. But then it also becomes then once you watch it, then you're like, okay, now it's my turn to, because I've watched Tyler do it. Then I stepped out and did Gospel Dream. Then Tyler started doing films, and I was like, okay, maybe I should try that. So, you once you pull all in on someone else's flame and the fire comes, a lot of times you become a recipient of that flame as well.
So Gospel Dream was your kind of a first step out of kind of your own little. It was. Yeah. My wife.
When
was that? What was the year that you first started Gospel Dream?
I think it was 2003.
Oh.
Yeah. My wife and I were watching American Idol at the time. And I said, we were watching it, and I was like, man, we should do something like this for the Christian market. She's like, I'm gonna call my dad. And our father's a great figure in the Christian community, Bishop Paul Morton. And she called him and asked, my husband came up with this great thing. You should listen to him. He's like, yeah, this Gospel Dream thing sounds amazing. So let's try it, And he has this conference that he does every year that's pretty huge. And we launched Gospel Dream on that platform, and then it just became a phenomenon.
And did it start on what was it always on Gospel Music?
No, it wasn't. We started on BET.
Yeah,
we started on BET. We were the first there, to launch a talent competition like that, and then we went to Gospel Music Channel, and which is now Up TV.
I was gonna say I went to look and I'm like, where did it go?
Yeah, they had some branding issues, but we launched on Gospel Music Channel in 2005, I believe it was, and I met you in 2008. And that's the story.
How long did that show run for? Is it still running?
It's not running anymore. I think we ended somewhere the year after you participated. Yeah, somewhere in 9. Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't seen too much. I was looking for auditions for. Yeah, I didn't see it. Well, what's funny when I was on Melinda Watts, that girl can sing.
She's an amazing talent. Yeah.
Yeah, she was such a unique voice. Sometimes a gospel singer, what they're going to sound like.
Sure.
She was not. She was like a pop gospel.
She could do anything.
Yeah.
She could really do anything. You have to hear this girl sing, Jennifer.
I would
Yeah.
love to hear her sing.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
we had in November last year. We had
Oh,
our
did you?
reunion.
Oh, really?
Most of the contestants called in.
Oh, very
Oh,
nice.
wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and Melinda co-hosted with me.
Oh, very
so
nice.
yeah, and we had so much fun, and just to hear their progress
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what they're doing now. You know, some people, you know, I don't sing anymore, but this is my voice now.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is my voice.
And what a big voice.
Well, thank you. But you know, we reach 93 countries around the world, and you know, quite a few hundreds of thousands of people,
Wow.
you know, that tune into our station. So it is. That's why it baffles me to, like you say, what God gives you a
Absolutely.
little grain of.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay, so Gospel Dream. Then you went on to you started working with Tyler quite a bit ago, but you were scoring a lot of stuff. So you're a musician, but what's it like scoring to a movie or to a TV series? Because that's, to me, just sitting going, whatever. But it's to watching a scene to actually create something. How was that?
It's pretty intense, to be
I
honest
would
with
say.
you. Yeah, it's very intense, but it's almost like being another character in the room, you know.
Right.
But the silent character is supposed to be felt, not necessarily heard most times. So for me, it's you know, just really interpreting what Tyler would like for the mood to really feel like.
And he knows what he wants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He always knows what he wants. He's very clear.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's great working with him because he's so clear. It's
Right.
not a guessing game with him. And, you know, you can really know when you're going to work that you know exactly what you're going to get, you know,
great.
what you're going to work on. So, but it's a very intense job. Very, very, very intense.
What is some of your favorite scores that you can remember that just really stand out?
You know, my favorite score, I you know, because of the TV shows, I get an opportunity to keep, you know, recreating myself and just
Right.
building it on it. But I think my favorite score has to be Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
I love that. I love that.
And the reason why is because it was my very first score. We were both terrified. It was Tyler's very first movie, producing and directing.
Right.
It was my very first movie, you know, scoring. So,
That was a great movie.
but it was something very special about, you know, that film, you know, that came out.
That's your
pretty-
first, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
What's funny about Tyler movies, it makes you just want to get up and slap a man. You do.
Or leave the room with your
Or, yeah. You're just like, I just hate it.
Absolutely.
But I mean, his humor and in his movies, but yet gets so sincere and deep.
Yeah,
and,
it's always a
just
message
spiritual
to take
too.
home with you. Yeah, it's always a takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of Tyler's movies. Yeah.
And who are some of the people that you love to work with? Because you've got to work with some pretty amazing actors and actresses.
Work with, you know, I do get a chance to work with a lot of people, but I think that the one of the greatest moments in my career was actually sitting with Quincy Jones. Where he knew so much about me.
He did?
Oh,
He
wow.
did. It just
You're
blew
like,
my mind.
you just standing like, what the?
Did you go on Google or something? How do you know all of this stuff? But he follows Tyler and he follows the music that we produce, and I think that moment by itself just kind of blew my mind. Like, wow, this is someone I really looked up to all my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then he knows so much about me and my, you know, and I met with him at his house, you know, so I got
So
to trip
cool.
over his Grammys, and
He's like,
it was very humbling, right?
Yeah.
You know?
there's only 102.
Right.
Elvin, did you take, did you
Right,
take one?
you know, so it's one of those type of things, you know, but I think that was the biggest moment for me.
Yeah, Quincy, I think it's kind of like an actor talking about Meryl Streep, where a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
musicians
Yeah.
talk
Yeah,
about Quincy.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he's worked with so many great artists.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people you still want to work with?
You know, I recently met, what's its name? David Foster.
Wow, he's
Yeah.
another one.
I know him actually.
Oh,
well.
you do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know
from the-
Yolanda, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Housewife.
Friends with
absolutely.
Yolanda. I love her. And
Yeah.
him.
I recently met him, and he knew a little about me as well. And, you know, I just love his music. So that's one person I look forward to working with, Jennifer.
I'll call him right now. You know, he's an incredible man, though. He's such a kind man, very
kind.
present too
Yeah.
when you're around him, and
Mm-hmm.
I like them. I love them as a couple, and
No, he's very nice, you know.
And talented.
Yeah, he's very talented as well. He's been very
Oh,
kind
Celine
to me.
Dion, that's one of my favorite singers. So
Yeah.
People are like,
absolutely.
she's so cheesy, but she can sing.
She can sing, yes.
Who are some of, growing up? Who are some of your artists that you love, and now some of the artists you love today?
You know, growing up, I was so my mom kept me close to church, so I had a lot of, artists were from the gospel community, like Walter Hawkins and people like that. And today, some of my favorite artists would be, Celine, Josh Groban, folk like that. I'm pretty.
That's called voices right there.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm that guy more than I am,
Like the Britney type
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like a lot about people too, but those have to be my top.
You know what's funny? This is gonna probably sound crazy, but being on the Gospel Dream, okay, there were 16 people, and I think 3 of us were white.
Oh.
And I was like, that is not even fair to say 3 white people have to go up against 13 gospel singers. That's not even right.
It wasn't me.
I was like, there is no way
It wasn't me.
you could take you can take a Christian song and make it gospel. You can't take a gospel and make it too Christian. I was like, I'm just going home.
No, man, you did very well.
Well, thank you so much.
sir.
All right, so I'm going to play a quick clip of something that you created and did a documentary on. So I want everybody to watch this. When we come back, we're going to talk about Kunta Kinte Island.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
Be right back.
Let me ask you something. Do you know who you are?
What do you mean?
You've got to know who you are in here. You come from a civilization of Africa.
Every African American descended from a mighty people in a great land. A land that endured a horror beyond comprehension.
More than 20 million Africans transported into the journey of no return. More than 6 million people lost their lives for 300 years.
Among millions enslaved, one man's story has become legend.
We want the whole world to know that the family of Kunta Kinte are still living in the Gambia, and we didn't want this story to die.
Stolen from his homeland.
And he was overpowered, and they kidnapped him and transported him to James Island.
Tortured for his defiance.
And I walked into the little room where they said that they kept the strongest Africans to break them. All of my nightmares started in this one little space.
A story passed down through generations.
When Kunta Kinte was lost, they wrote it down. So Alex Haley found the story with us here.
So in 1977, the book roots and the film was all over the world.
The week that it aired, I'm doing a presentation with Merv Griffin, and I'm giving an award. And the curtain opens, and a standing ovation. I think it's for Merv. So I turned and I started applauding for Merv. And Merv goes, "No, that's for you." And I went, "What?" And I looked out and he said, "Chicken George."
Now, Elvin Ross Studios invites you to return to St. James Island.
It felt like coming back to our roots, coming back home.
Someone said James Island again, right? And I go, oh, like it was like, no, this is Kunta Kinte Island. And I meant that from my soul.
I have the singular honor and privilege to declare that James Island is renamed Kunta Kinte Island.
The island is named after one of Africa's greatest songs.
A person that doesn't know their heritage, they're lost. And we need to have more than just Black History Month.
We're not slaves. We were enslaved.
Kunta Kinte Island. This was ours. This was ours.
We are back with On Air with Tony Sweet, only on Universal Broadcasting Network.
Okay, we're back. This is On Air with Tony Sweet. We just saw a trailer of a documentary that Elvin Ross, who's in studio with us, filmmaker, composer, and all around good guy.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you said this film is not out yet, and it's called Kunta Kinte Island.
Yes.
But it looks amazing.
It looks incredible.
I mean, amazing.
honestly.
You guys are kind. Thank you.
No,
So,
I'm being honest.
I want to know, because making a documentary, that means you're not just a paycheck, because a lot of times it's not a paycheck.
Right.
it's about something from a passion or something from your heart or inspiration. So tell us, where did this come into play? Because this is this back in the 70s, it was a huge miniseries.
My family and I watched it together.
Yeah, my family too.
Yeah.
And so tell us how Kunta Kinte Island became about.
Well, the president of the Gambia was renaming the island from James Island to Kunta Kinte Island.
Oh, really?
Yes, and there was a little island off the coast of Jufre where Kunta Kinte was abducted from. They would put captive Africans on a little boat and transport them to this little island, which was like a fortress where they would keep captive Africans in these, just horrible spaces.
I'm sure.
And for years, centuries, this place has been standing and the ruins are still there. Well, the government just renamed this island to Kunta Kinte Island.
Wow.
So
I'm sure
I was invited in.
You were?
Yeah, I was invited in to actually compose music for this documentary.
Oh, okay.
And me with my big mouth was like, no, you can't do it this way. I cannot do a big score if you don't do it this way. And it's like, well, why don't you direct it? And I was like, oh, you kidding? I don't do that. Okay, maybe I'll try it, And then that turned into becoming an investment and a labor of love for me. And, we went in and I wanted to do this particular film where my kids could really relate to it. I have two boys, 11 and 7.
Wow.
And nieces and nephews that would want to be able to watch this as well. And it's interesting to see them sit and watch it and understand now. So, the purpose has been fulfilled with that, So I was brought into it as a composer, wound up being director, producer, and executive producer.
Wow, it's amazing.
Another destiny.
How long did it take you to do this?
Because I was working with Tyler, it took me about 3 years to complete. But, now we're selling it into PBS systems, and it's pretty rewarding for me to see it go from, an idea, a conceptual thought in my head to an actual completed film that people are able to receive from, and there's such a powerful message in the film. A great takeaway is asking people, do you know who you are? And it's not asking African Americans who they are, but who you are individually. It doesn't matter what race you are, and it just challenges you to go back and, dig up your lineage and talk about your history around the kitchen table, so this film is kind of like a catalyst just to get us together, start talking about our family heritage and stuff. So it's cool.
That's one of my hobbies, is actually ancestry, a family tree.
Oh,
that's
really?
for like 25 years.
Really?
I've been working on it.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And I had she's actually a ghost hunter from Sci-Fi Channel. Her name's Chris Williams, but she's a contributor to Ancestry.com. She was on my show a few weeks back, and we were talking about, getting into your lineage and all this stuff, but the thing about African Americans, a lot of times it's the records. It's so hard to find out who you are and where you came from.
That's what's so remarkable what Alex Haley was able to do, because for him to go past the slave ports is where most of our heritage begin. Because you got to think about it. Once you're captured in Africa, you get stamped and we can't go no further than the slave ships, the ports. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for him to go all the way back to the actual village where his ancestors, where his roots are from, exactly. So it was pretty remarkable what he did at that time.
Have you done yours or tried or?
Well, I didn't meet my father until a month before he passed.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So my history is little, shattered as well. So I'm just kind of like floating around trying to, create foundations for my kids, where they know me starting here, maybe, and my grandfather, that type of thing, but not really, no.
So was your father born here in America? Or?
Yeah, he was born here.
then see,
But
I can help you with that.
Yeah.
I'm good at that stuff.
Yeah.
But this documentary, you had some great people representing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how was it getting Jermaine Jackson and some other these wonderful people? The guy, I can't remember his name, the guy that played Rooster and
Chicken George.
Chicken George. I'm sorry.
Vereen, yes.
Ben Vereen. I love him.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he's amazing.
That was a really beautiful moment. I got emotional there.
Ben Vereen is amazing. Ben Vereen and I share the same barber.
Oh, really? There you go.
So there's a connection.
So yeah, we waiting for our haircuts. It's like, you want some coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir. So
Yeah, so I'm doing a
that
documentary.
happened. yeah, absolutely. And Jermaine Jackson was actually a guest of the president of the Gambia, and he actually toured the island, and it was pretty easy getting him to come on board and talk about his experience.
Well, doing this film, there had to be some emotions at some time or some point to come up to really either take your own, looking back to your own history, and was there a moment that filming or listening to somebody in the film that just really touched you enough to where it's like, this is why I'm doing this?
When I went on the island and I was alone for a period of time, and I went into a little cave, a little dungeon that they would hold, smaller than this room, man. They would hold like 36. Big African men, to strip them of their spirits, you break them down, they would ease themselves where they were, they couldn't eat, just no ventilation. That was very humbling, being in that space. And you got to realize, when you're over here living, in La La Land and just doing what we do, you got to realize just how blessed we are, just how far our people have come, as just as a race. Right. We talk about race issues all the time, but a lot of times we're speaking from a place where we don't even know where we come from. So how can you be so, adamant about different things? You really need to know where you come from so you can understand the fight.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, no, I made that up myself.
No, but I love also.
Right here on I Know Tony Sweet.
You're a genius. Wow.
I like you. I'm going to take you with me.
No, I love also that what you were talking about it. I'm like,
I think
okay.
that's my cheerleader.
Here you go. Yay, you.
Yeah, me. I love it.
I'm sorry. No, but what I really loved also is when you were explaining this film and talking about how you sit around in the kitchen and you talk about this and you sit with your family. Like, I think it's more than just one thing, that you're talking about. You just said race, but I think it's so much more about.
Absolutely.
We're so consumed today with our phone and the internet and cyber world, and like so many people. Like, I'm so afraid of our youth when they're gonna grow up. They're gonna be like, OMG, blah blah blah. Like WTH or
everything will be an emoji or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like to sit around and to family values and God and all this. This is what I believe is really important, at least for me, and my family's like that, and to see that and to really like, when you were talking about stuff, like my mom comes from poverty in Argentina. Like, I remember one time we went about 3.5 years ago and she's like, I could eat that bug and you can eat that bug. And I was like, you're joking. She was like, if I was lucky, I got to eat these bugs, and I mean, literally like, those Ethiopian little kids you see on the commercials, that was my mom. And like, it's so amazing to see where you're at and like where we're at today. Like, I'm so blessed, they sacrificed everything and all this stuff is coming up as you're talking about your film and me watching that, and
that's the purpose though. That's the purpose. And you have to understand that, Kunta Kinte told his story to his generation. That generation told it to the next, to the next, to the next. So much so that Alex Haley was able to take that story all the way back to Jufere and find his roots. So that's the importance of it.
That is important. I think that's one reason that I do what I do with my ancestry, because a lot of people you can say who your grandparents are, but who are your great grandparents?
Exactly.
Where are they from? And you're like, I have no idea.
Right. And then you also realize, once you have those types of stories, the people become very proud. Like the Kinte family,
I'm sure.
The Haleys, you should talk to some of them. They are very, very proud people. Even living in the Gambia, where they're still in a poverty-stricken area, they're very, very proud people. Very smart, speaking several different languages, and just very proud.
I can barely speak English.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know, me too. You know, especially with this Cajun accent. So
Yeah, it must be really humbling and to walk away from a project like that, you know.
Yeah.
And then and like we were talking about, you know, right now there's so much race issues. I mean, it's been going on for centuries, but
Absolutely.
but it's still going on. And to hear some of the things in the news, it does
It saddens me.
It does. It
Me
saddens
too.
all of us. And as a filmmaker, I know you get inspired, and what is, I know you have a project we're not going to talk about, but there's other projects that may come up, and if there was a project that you really wanted to do, what would you want to do to make an impact?
You know, I would like to do theatrical releases
Really?
that speak to the same type of subject matters. You know, and maybe just not presented in a documentary style. But
Well, Tyler does kind of that.
Tyler does it very well.
Yeah.
You know, he knows his lane and he does it very well
Yeah.
in his lane. You know, he incorporates comedic and spiritual matters.
Always
inside.
a message.
Yeah, it's always a message, and always a big takeaway. But I would like to do it in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like
What
to
is
do it
your
my
way?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does that look like?
My way is turn on the lights. No, I'm kidding. But my
a little
way,
score in the background.
and it's that, you know, I'm very epic. I would like to see, you know, certain things done in an epic manner where it's big, you know. I want to be like that Steven Spielberg guy that does these big message movies. Yeah.
and touch the masses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you do the cinematography on your film?
I didn't.
It's
I hired
beautiful.
someone, yes. John Demps, he's actually he actually is from America, but he spends most of his time in Africa, so he knows the landscape over there very, very well. So he shot this film very,
it was
very
gorgeous.
well.
It was
Gorgeous.
mind blowing.
Yeah, he's very, very good.
And so now you have a beautiful family. You're living in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And what's it in the last 7 years? You said you've moved here, but what's it been like moving from the South to Los Angeles?
For me, it's been great because I moved out here to get closer to the entertainment industry and to really glean from other professionals, you know, and I've done just that, you know, as you know, we've rubbed shoulders with the David Fosters of the world and the Baby Faces of the world and the Tyler Perry's, hanging out with him, and the Quincy Jones and all those people. And, you know, there's such a great takeaway from hearing their stories, but also getting in their world and learning their craft as well. By just watching sometimes, you don't really have to always just like, show me how you do this.
Yeah, no, it's always...
Sometimes it's like just sit in a corner, be quiet, and just watch how they move and what they're looking for, what they're listening for. And you'll be surprised what you can take away from those moments.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I have to just butt in, but I did do a Babyface video when I was a teenager.
All right.
When will I see you? When will I see you again?
I knew you.
Yeah,
What
he was
do
so
you remember?
cool. Yeah,
Which
when
one?
will I see you again?
Yes.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like just watching him.
Yes.
Just, you know, sometimes he would sing, sometimes he wouldn't. We shot for so long, and just like it's true. It's like observing, and he was such a nice man.
Yeah, he's very, very nice. Very nice.
Well, I'm trying to think of the guy that he was for the Tonight Show. What's his name? That was
Jay Leno's.
Jay Leno's the head of the band.
Oh.
Now he's on American Idol.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah. What is his?
I know who you're talking about, bald head guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He has his studio is actually right here on the lot.
Oh, good.
And the other day I was at the cafeteria and I was walking back to the office, and one of the managers of the whole studio, introduced me to him, and I can't think of his name right now, and I didn't know who it was. I was just like, hey, whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, I have this business right here. I'm like, oh, Red Lotus is what it's called. And I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to see it. And he's like, oh, come on in. And so we're sitting there for like 30 minutes. Then I'm like, oh, that's you. I was like, oh, that's you. Like he's, you know, Rihanna and Whitney.
What?
Yeah, he did Whitney's. He was. What is
I had no idea.
Yeah, he did the South African concert. He did that. The band director.
Yes.
And so I was just like, oh my God, this guy's huge.
No, he's talented. Very talented.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna drive me crazy.
Now, do you have your own recording studio in your house?
You know, I have my own yeah, I had my own studio outside of the house actually recently. And I just actually moved into the house just to be closer to the boys. I was working such late hours sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, I'm getting scared in here by myself.
Yeah.
So I just moved into, and converted one of my rooms into a studio. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you not have the studio at your house because you didn't want to like mix it all together, or?
I just wanted a place of business, to get away from. And then I did that, and I did it. And I then when I got it, I wanted to be back home.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like come downstairs and just kind of work versus getting dressed, and especially with it became a problem with the studio in Atlanta because they would need a file right away. Then I would have to drive to the studio versus just rolling out of bed, go get
Right.
it, and get back in the
That's
bed.
the good thing about technology nowadays.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it from anywhere.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna kind of tell everybody where we can find you. Your Twitter is just Elvin Ross.
I believe it's the Elvin Ross.
The Elvin, I think I look. Yep, it is. It's right here on the screen.
Yep.
the Elvin Ross,
yeah.
and your website for your production company.
Well, right now we're doing KKI Movie.
KKI Movie.
Mm-hmm.
And what's KKI stand for?
Kunta Kinte Island.
Okay, there we go. And so, what else do we have planned so we can start looking for Elvin, and what other things?
Yeah, and I'm working on 2 new films. One that I can't really release right now, but and then there's another one that we're working with in South Africa, and more scores for Tyler.
Amazing.
Of course.
Yeah,
you still with the Have and Have-Nots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had many of the actors.
Is
from
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. They're so cool.
Yeah, and it's funny to hear them talk about Tyler. It's such respect
Oh,
for
absolutely.
this man.
You have to. You have to
Yeah.
have respect for him. He's done.
What's
a
a
wonderful
have and
thing.
have nots?
It's on the OWN network.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So it's just a little thing.
It's like a soap
It's
opera.
just a little thing on
It's
the
just
little.
a little drama on the own
Yeah.
network.
Yeah, but it I think honestly it really helped OWN really.
Well, yeah,
a lot.
it's a great partnership that Tyler and Oprah.
Yeah, that was a
coming
smart
together.
deal.
It was a very smart thing. She needed content. He had content.
Yeah.
Always has content, and it just worked out very, very well for the both of them.
That's great.
Yeah,
Have you met her?
I have actually.
I'm a little starstruck. I think, if I could, I'd have.
Really?
She's one of her
Oprah,
Tony Robbins,
David Foster.
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
I know. Her, Joel Osteen, and Oprah.
I love Joel Osteen.
I
as
love him
well.
too.
He's
I love
amazing.
him.
Yes, he's
I mean,
amazing.
do you know him too?
I have not met Joel
Okay.
yet. No, not
What's
yet.
funny is I wake
so-
up every Sunday morning and I'll turn the television on. He's on, and
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there like, oh, okay.
I have him on my phone. I listen to him over and over again. I mean,
No, he has great words.
No, yeah,
Great
absolutely.
words.
He has great words of hope.
Yeah.
He keeps you uplifted and encouraged for sure.
Do you remember the Christian group Avalon?
Yeah.
Jody McBrayer, he's actually has a show here on
that
our
right?
network.
Oh,
yeah,
right, nice.
Yeah, he lives in Nashville, but he comes back and he'll tape.
Oh,
but
nice.
Jody can sing.
Yeah.
No.
Not sing, but sang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sang.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I love it.
Well, I hope that maybe one day we'll work together again.
Absolutely.
And you can come back here anytime. Like I said, you started all this. So,
You're very kind.
but Elvin Ross,
Hey,
thank you
thank
so much. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have more to talk about. We may have Ann Walker come in, tell us who's on her show tonight. And we hope you guys are enjoying your evening with us. So don't go anywhere. On Ever Tony Sweet on Universal Broadcasting with Jennifer Jimenez and myself. All right, here we go.